everyone. I'm just super excited to be here today with Mr. Ian Wright. I always like to start with the person before the accolades. Mr. Ian is a husband. He's a father, an extraordinary award-winning man, also a former pro athlete, and just an incredible guy that I am super excited to have the chance to sit down with, to talk to learn more about his story, and to share it with you all here on Sound On. With the advancement of social equality in sports, how can the media help this cause?
Well, the first thing that the media can do, is they can start by, making sure that their own businesses are really representative of the business that they're in and the people that are represented in that business and the people they're trying to reach. Making sure that they have diverse staff is vitally important, I believe. For me, that immediately improves the conversations. Those uncomfortable conversations that you need to have. And I'm not just talking about Black people on the screen. I'm talking about people in the boardroom, on the floor, everywhere, all over the place, everywhere. So that's what I believe. And I think that you need to give it time, simply because when people are talking about racism and stuff like this, constantly a debate. It doesn't need to be a debate. It needs to be a discussion. It's not something that has to be debated. It has to be talked about. And it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. But at the same time, there's still no Black representation in the boardrooms at something like the Premier League. So we're talking about trying to get representation and having a conversation on how we're going to deconstruct and if we can't get Black people into certain rooms, then, and I'm not talking about one, because I sit on the board with the Premier League, and they're talking that we have to get Black people on the board. I'm talking about getting 2 or 3, because if you're getting 1 in there, you're not going to be able to change the narrative of maybe 10 people in there who might be white. Yes, you may have women in there and this and that, but are not Black. You can't have one guy in there,
right?
That's just on his own. Who's he gonna relate to? Who's gonna help him? Who's gonna back him up in that place?
What do you see the role of public companies in the fight for equality? With
their resources and everything that they have to lead by example, Trell, in what they do. They have an incredible influence over us and the people that their lives that they can affect with their company and how big their companies are. They have a responsibility to their customers, to the community, to the products that they do, the services that they give. And the thing is that my manager said it as well the other day when we was talking about this companies thing. He said, to be silent is to be complicit. This is more than giving money to causes. This is the people, what you're working, getting your people to do stuff in the causes, other than just giving money and moving on. That's what it's for me. For me, they have to lead by example, and they should be forced more into doing that. I think a lot of them are like, oh, hang on, yeah, we might be able to get away with this. Let's keep going. No, we need to force them. We need to hold them to account.
Ian, it's so interesting that we're having this conversation. In America, code switching is a real big thing. I don't know if you've ever heard the term or not, but I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, how important is it for sports organizations to ensure that they are providing an environment where everyone can show up as their authentic selves? And what are some areas of opportunity for that?
I think one of the areas definitely safeguarding women and kids in academies. Football for me is way behind the inclusion of the LGBT community, well behind, from both a fan perspective and player perspective. A lot more can be done in these spaces. It's very difficult because, again, you feel like people. Why do people even have to come out and let people know what they are, whether they're gay or whether they're not gay, whether they're it shouldn't matter. But the problem is that there's people who are ready to do the pile-on. Oh, it's not fair on that particular person. They're just trying to be. So they should be left to be whatever they want to be. They just want to come into work. They want to go to play football. They want to let them be whatever they want to be, doing whatever they want to do. That's going to take some time because there's too many people, again, in the positions of power that still are against these things happening. There's too many people who are able to sit on computers, social media and drive a narrative that people take notice of. And so it's very difficult to stop that happening, but it's easier to try and let those people know you carry on being you, and then hopefully the machine will catch up and we'll be able to help you be you, and you can continue to be whatever you want to be.
You're right. One of my mentors told me, and I'll never forget this, you can only get what's for you by being you. And it changed my life.
Well, that is Trell as well. Even the other day, there was a little bit of a thing happened in football where a white commentator was talking about colorful hair and dancing and extrovert. And, he liked the humble. He liked the humble player, the guy who just gets on with it. And the problem that I have with that is that they've got to understand that as the years, way back, we'll go back as far as we can. And that black person is probably going to be killed somewhere along the line, because you can't be that guy. So when you're hearing people saying stuff like that, they like the humble black guy, it's a massive slight on us.
Do you see any differences, over the decades between the movement for equality then versus the movement for equality now? Anything different that feels different?
I think that, especially with the George Floyd, it really shifted everything very, very quickly. Everybody had to jump onto that because that was it. That was enough. I think that young people won't settle for it as easy as they would do back in the day, even in my day. I think there's so much more help that everybody can have in respects of social media. People got their own platforms. People are now more outraged. Whereas before, you just had to take that. Even in my time, you just had to take that and move on. The movement's stronger now. It's more united. Premiumbeat.com.
What advice would you give to the next generation, those change makers, those people who are going to get in there and start to build wealth?
Well, the thing is, you say what advice you give. You just hope that the people that get into the positions of power are people who will bring people in, people with a diverse culture, the people are thinking. I can't stress enough. And when I speak to my friends and my white friends, I said, you've got to be our allies when we're not in the room. So when you're in there and the people having their joke at somebody's expense at work or something, you're the one who says, yo, man, that's very disrespectful and that's racist. And then you explain it to them. Because when it comes from their white friend who they're not expecting that from, they have to listen and it has to prick something. That's how we end up changing.
I am so grateful that I was able to share this time with you and this space. So I'm grateful to Barclays providing this space through the programming Sound On. We are going to have more conversations like this with more incredible figures in Black culture. And so I just advise you all to stick around. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright.
Thank you very much, John. God bless. You're doing great stuff. Long may it continue.